Joining me now, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, a Democrat. Governor, thanks for joining us. Let's start with the Trump team. We reported on this program yesterday the president-elect has picked an oil fracking executive to preside over the Department of Energy. Matt Gaetz is his choice for Attorney General, although even Senate Republicans doubt he can be confirmed. And RFK Jr., seen here eating McDonald's with Trump last night, has been tapped for Health and Human Services. What's your reaction to the people the president-elect seems intent surrounding himself with?
Well, the president has made some picks, like North Dakota's governor or Marco Rubio, that while I disagree with on a lot of issues, seem qualified. And then he's made some choices that are quite frankly bonkers. I mean, these are some folks like Matt Gaetz and RFK Jr. that are wholly unqualified. And in the instance of Matt Gaetz, lacks the character to do that job. These are important areas with significant authority, but also thousands of employees and hundreds of millions of dollars in the budget. I mean, we need to make sure that the Senate steps up and does their job. They are supposed to be a constitutional check that says, yes, Mr. President, you get to pick your cabinet secretaries, but it's our job to determine if they are qualified for these incredibly important jobs. The U.S. senators, they take an oath to this country and not their political party and not this president-elect. So my hope is that while, sure, they're going to give any president some deference, they do their job and not let some of these picks move forward.
Now, as concerning as the cabinet picks are, the impact of Trump's proposed tariffs could be even as or more significant, and there's very little to stop him from enacting them. The Tax Policy Center found Kentucky could face the largest tariff payment in the country under his plan. What are your thoughts on that?
That's tough. It's tough for my people. I mean, if you think about something costs $10 and a 20% tariff is put on it, people are now going to pay $12. Many people voted for Donald Trump, as we can now see from the data, because he said he was going to lower the price of things. Well, tariffs aren't going to do that. And the last time President Trump was in office, his tariffs on the EU led to a retaliatory tariff on Kentucky bourbon, which hurt the industry significantly. Could have cost us a lot of jobs if it wasn't ultimately undone by Gina Raimondo, our Commerce Cabinet Secretary. So I have some real concerns, but I hope that as they sit down and they think through this, that they are at least surgical and targeted and not what we're hearing some of all across the board. Raising prices on America right now after the promises made in this election, that really hurt people, especially with a lot of people out there hurting already.
Now, while you and President-elect Trump disagree on trade, you share the goal of building back America's manufacturing base, especially in Kentucky. In the past week, you've announced projects in Shelbyville and West Louisville that will create close to 2,000 total jobs. What are the areas where Democrats and Republicans can work together on the economy right now, and why isn't there more focus on them?
We absolutely have to find common ground, and then we got to apply common sense for the common good of all of our people. And I believe that's a lot of what I put in my op-ed in the New York Times. It's that when most people wake up in the morning, they're not thinking about politics. They're thinking about their job and whether they make enough to support their family. They're thinking about the next doctor's appointment or prescription for themselves or their kids. They're thinking about the roads and the bridges they drive every single day. They're thinking about the public school, the quality of education that their kids are getting. And they're thinking about how they feel about public safety in their community. None of those things are partisan. And if people don't feel secure in those areas, I don't think they get to whatever the issue of the day is in D.C. or whatever crazy thing some politician said the night before. So certainly what I hope to see out of my party, but I'd really love to see out of everybody, because we can find common ground, is making sure we focus on those things that matter to people the most. and we spend the majority of our time trying to move the country not to the right or the left, but forward in those areas because it lifts up Democrats, Republicans. It brings us all along.
Now, before we lose you, Governor, it's Sunday. And as you know, I'm a minister. I preach for Reverend Malone. I preach for Reverend Malone there in Louisville often. And I know because of that you and your wife are deacons. So let's talk a little about forgiveness. So much of the discussion right now in politics is about retribution. But you and I both sat in the pews this very Sunday alongside people who voted differently than us. How do we get from where we are now to healing and bringing the country together on things that matter to people that we all want to see served in our communities?
I think first we focus on those areas that aren't political, that lift everyone up. Like I mentioned, jobs, healthcare, infrastructure, public education, and public safety. But then, Reverend, I think we share our why. When we share our why, what drives us and how we make our decisions, it helps other people understand us or us understand them, even if we disagree. For me, it is my faith. And when I vetoed the nastiest anti-LGBTQ bill we'd ever seen last year in my election year, I talked about it. I said, my faith teaches me that every child is a child of God. So I was going to stand up for those kids. And while some in Kentucky may have disagreed with the veto, they understood why I was doing what I was doing, and they knew that I was going to get back to creating jobs and lessening the cost of health care, capping the price of insulin the next day. So when we talk about our why, I think it gives people the grace and the space to maybe listen differently, hear a little bit differently, and to have a conversation. I also think focusing on some of the extremism, not just the core of some issues, but how far they've been pulled. That makes people uncomfortable. I think most people want middle-of-the-road policies that benefit their neighbor, because you and I believe in that golden rule that says we love our neighbor as ourselves. So even if I disagree politically with my neighbor, I still want them to do well, and I want their kids to do really well.
Let me ask you this, and I'll let you go. Your name has been touted for running in 2028 for president. Are you considering it?
What I'm focused on right now are two things. Number one, I love my job. We just announced 1,600 new jobs in Shelbyville, making industrial batteries for utilities. That's going to change people's lives forever. We just cut the ribbon on the largest investment in several decades in West Louisville, our largest African-American community, a set of neighborhoods in Kentucky. That's incredible to be a part of. And I don't want to look forward. I want to live every single day to do the most I can for my people and here in Kentucky. But the other thing that I want to make sure of is that we get this message out. Reasonable voices during this time where a lot of people are hurting, that says, let's focus. Let's focus on these core issues that matter to every single American, because they won't just speak to undecided voters in the future. They'll speak to everyone. And if we can bring Democrats and Republicans together through it, we're even better off.
Well, that might be the commercial for Beshear 28 you just saw. Thank you for being with us, Governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear.